JJ the CPA here. Hope you're doing well. Thanks for joining me. Real quick, we're going to talk now about the EIDL for the self-employed. Been getting a lot of questions, including from my clients. How much of the EIDL can I use for myself, in essence, as my pay out of the EIDL? So before we get rolling, if you're not a subscriber, click it. I'm a practicing CPA with over 27 years of experience. What I'm passing along to you is what I'm passing along to my clients. All right, so again, the big question. Somebody is self-employed. They went to the SBA.gov. They got the maybe EIDL Advance, or what many call the EIDL Grant, and that was for the self-employed $1,000. So with that, it's meant for ongoing expenses. Now, if you got the EIDL, the Economic Injury Disaster Loan, and you'll know you got that because you would have gotten an email, you would have had to gone to a portal, sign in, you wouldn't have gotten an initial approval, you would have had to approve it, they would have confirmed it, they would have identified your identity, you would have signed loan papers, and then they would have deposited the money. So for the EIDL grant plus the EIDL combined, this is what we're talking about. So for the EIDL self-employed, how much do you get paid? So we know with the EIDL, what it's meant for is ongoing expenses. So when we're talking about ongoing expenses, that is for your business, what do you spend that you've been deducting on your tax return previously or will deduct on your tax return in the current year, and that is your ongoing expenses. So to get a hint of what that is, go no further than your Schedule C. That is the return that or form that you're filing with your tax return to see what have I been writing off. Cell phone, if you're have a vehicle that you're using and you're deducting the gas, if there's rent, if you're paying some independent contractors, some dues, office supplies, etc. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about the uses, but I want to get to what the video is about here. So let's just say, for instance, for the self-employed, you got 12,000 EIDL, and for these example purposes, if you got any kind of a grant, well, then you would include it in your starting number. So for here, you got $12,000 in this example. Congratulations. So what you do to determine whether or not you get any to yourself, you're going to have to base it off, for now, your 2019 Schedule C. And this is going to sound exactly similar to the calculation for PPP, so we don't want to get the two confused or think that they have anything to do with each other, because they don't, but it is the same calculation. So if for 2019, your Schedule C, line 31, which is the net income, was $48,000, you're going to take that divided by 12 months times a factor of 2.5. That is going to equal $10,000. So if you received a $12,000 EIDL, including EIDL grant, then $10,000 of it is the amount that you pay yourself. The remaining $2,000 would be for ongoing expenses. So ongoing expenses would be what we just talked about, and we'll talk about this. So what do you get paid? Okay, $10,000, okay, of your EIDL. A couple of things. I know with self-employed, you may have a separate bank account. That's awesome. So you just pull 10 grand out. If you're writing a check, you just put line 31 divided by 12 times 2.5, 10 grand. If you do an automatic transfer, great. You're not required to do any documentation other than this calculation. So of the money that might be left in your account, if you have separate accounts, meaning you have a business account for the self-employed income Schedule C and you have a personal account. So if you just leave the money in your business account, another way to look at it is you can use 10,000 of it any way you want because it's your money. It's your money. So another way to look at this is that for 10,000 of it, because it's your money, just the same as any other monies that it's yours, you can use it for whatever you want. So on this $2,000 would be for ongoing expenses. So with this, let's walk through with this in closing. The $10,000, you could use it to pay for dog food, could pay for your kids' soccer lessons, could pay for a down payment on a car, could pay off a credit card, because this $10,000 is yours. It's yours, okay? If you do have separate accounts and you have a business account, well, move the money to your personal before you buy dog food, right? Separate those things out if you're going through the effort of having a separate business account. If you don't have a separate business account, then you're fine as well. Out of the $2,000, could not pay income taxes, could not pay self-employment taxes, could not pay 19 individual income taxes, could not pay estimated individual income taxes for 2020. The $2,000 cannot be used for that. Those things that I just mentioned, you can use the $10,000. Can't buy any assets with the $2,000. Now I have been asked, could I buy a laptop? I would probably say that would be the only real exception. And that would be if it's, it's less than $1,000, less than $500, that would be basing it on IRS law. So I had talked to somebody and they bought a new camera, but they had to buy a lot of minor accessories with it. And so I think that would be part of the ongoing expense. So you could get wild and go and spend $45,000 on a supercomputer. Well, then that's not going to qualify. But if you're an Uber driver, Lyft driver, and you need to get a new car, you can use $10,000 for your down payment. On the $2,000, you could buy new tires. Out of the $2,000, because it has to be ongoing expenses, you would pay dues. Okay? Out of the $10,000, you can pay whatever you want. Out of the $10,000, you could pay for all your business expenses as well. You're not required to pull the 10 out. But the question is, of the $12,000, how much of it can I pay to myself? How much of it is mine when I'm self-employed? Of the $12,000, how much of it I'm not going to get in trouble for accidentally spending it incorrectly? So in this example, it's $10,000. So don't overcomplicate it. Please don't. Because here's what you should know is that there is no timeline for when you have to spend your EIDL money. It's not like PPP. And if you have at least $2,000 of ongoing expenses, you're good. You want to just keep the receipts. The SBA is not going to require you to go, here's the $12,000 and literally of that, $10,000 went here and $40 went here and $16 went here and $80 here and $500 here. Okay? It's just money goes in your bank account. That's why you don't have to have a separate business account when you're self-employed. You don't have to have a separate business account for the EIDL. It can just go right into your personal account if you're self-employed and don't have a separate business account. Even if you have a separate business account, it can still go into your personal. It's just that you still have to follow the rule here that on $12,000, okay, 10,000 of this is yours to use as you wish. 2,000 is ongoing expenses. So if you have a question about it, just pause for a minute. Just pause for a minute, okay? You couldn't ask a question that I would say, no, you can't spend that on this 10,000. You could come up with any expense other than buying something illegally, and I would say, yeah, you can use the 10,000 for that. Buying bird seed, donating money, whatever you want to spend that 10 grand on, you can. On the 2,000, okay, Here's where it's real simple too. Shouldn't even yield any questions. Is it an ongoing expense you've already been paying for? If you're scratching your head now and going, well, could I do this? Probably no. Because it needs to be an ongoing expense that you've already been paying for. Okay, so it's not coming up with expenses on your ongoing. Ongoing is, these are things I'm already paying for my business. That's why I had said earlier, just go to your Schedule C and look at, well, what's on there that I'm writing off? So whatever's on there, that's my ongoing expenses. And really, out of the 12,000, okay, when you've exhausted the 10K, then you would be like, well, does this count? Does this count? Does this count for the $2,000? So you're not going to get in trouble unless you never use any of this money for business expenses. If you were just to take that money and just go to the casino, go buy $12,000 of bird seed. Okay, well, what happened? Well, you spent $2,000 too much directly on those dollars. But the thing is that you have time to document your ongoing expenses. So if you have $3,000 in your bank account and you deposit $12,000 from the EIDL, you have $15,000 in your bank account from your business. 10,000 of it you can use for whatever you want. 5,000 of it has to be for, or 2,000 has to be for ongoing expenses. That other 3,000 that was sitting in there, you can use that for whatever you want. So I think almost, and I don't say this in a complaining way, but the questions I'm getting, you're too concerned about it. You're too worried about it, okay? They're not going to take you off in cuffs. So on the 2,000, you're not coming up and creating expenses of, well, could I do this and could I do this? Probably I'm going to say, is it an ongoing expense? Is it something that you've been spending before? Yes. Well, then it's an ongoing expense for your business. You've been writing it off on Schedule C? Yes. Well, it's an ongoing expense for your business. And you can get into nitty gritty. Well, can I use part of it for paying my utilities, part of it for paying my home mortgage? Okay. You're asking a question that might yield you being able to do $45 of the 2,000, and you're just stressing yourself out. So I say that lovingly. For the self-employed on the EIDL, just keep it simple, right? Keep it simple. Hey, if you made it to here, I do want to tell you something, that if you don't know this already, I have come out with a second book, Cracking the CPA Code. You can get it on Amazon. Just search JJ the CPA. If you buy it, $19.97, email me a receipt at jj@jjthecpa.com, and I'll enter you into my contest that you could win $1,000, literally. So for $19.97, send me the receipt. I put you in the drawing, and then on September 11th, on my live show on YouTube, I will announce the winner between 4 p.m. Central Daylight Time and 5 p.m. Central Daylight Time. You do have to be present to win the $1,000. So go and pick that up. Be a way that you could potentially win $1,000. On all the social media, we have some other contests there, so you can check out that as well. And those are $100 contests that we'll announce on September 11th as well. Hey, thanks for tuning in. If you made it to here and you're not a subscriber, do me a favor. I just gave you some great value, clearly. Took the time here, put that all together. All I'm asking for is a click from you, not much to ask. All right, hey, those that are always tuning in, hope you're doing well. Thank you for those that have already bought the book. And then don't you ever forget, you've never met a CPA quite like me. All right, have a great day.
You know what it is, man. Hey, we about to crack the CPA code.